Housing, introducing Steven Thomas. Today he is going to show you all about
the housing market.
The housing market. I'm Athena Thomas again. Here he is. Take it, Steven.
Gotta love her. This is Athena Rose Thomas, and she is such a fun, loving, energetic soul. Go ahead, keep talking, Athena.
Okay.
Everyone wants to hear you anyways. You're the star of the show.
We're talking about housing market, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the housing market today. Introducing my co-helper, Alana Thomas.
You're on.
I'm a nobody.
No, you're right here. Hang on.
What's happening? I
am starting my presentation, but I first have to go like this. There we go. So say hello.
Hi.
That's all anybody gets. Wow. Alana Joe.
I'm tired.
Are you tired? How
it's been
come?
A long week.
I love it. So anyways, appreciate that for sure. So go. I really appreciate it. Thank you. They were actually buying time while I was trying to get ready for this thing, and thank you very much, Athena. Thank you, Alana. Appreciate it. Yes, I can help you down. Don't let mommy know you were standing on a swiveling chair.
Steven Thomas.
Absolutely love these kids. That's why I have so many. Let's go ahead and begin this presentation. They got out of school early because they had back to school night yesterday, so they're here nice and early. Got home like around noon. Anyway, I'd like to thank our sponsor. Yes, that's right, Kevin Buddy. He has been sponsoring us for quite some time here back in 2020, as well as almost entirely, I think, of all of 2021. And just got to love Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. He's personally done my own lending as well. And of course, there's more than one kind of borrower, and that means there's more than one kind of loan. And they have everything from full documentation loans to alternative documentation loans to investor financing and private money. So they pretty much deal with everything. And of course, who better than Kevin Buddy with his loads of experience has been doing this since 1976. So he's been helping out real estate agents as well, realtors as well as their clients. So thank you, Kevin Buddy, for your continued sponsorship. He's at Monarch Coast Financial. He can help you just as he helped me and your clients. Contact Kevin Buddy at 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. And our company is Reports on Housing. It's your local real estate snapshot. We have a report that we put together every other week. And I just wanted you to know, with my background, I am a housing analyst. I have a quantitative economics and decision science degree. I am the nerd. I like to geek out on numbers, and I get excited when I can see any changes. You have to understand, economics is boring, so we're constantly looking all over the place for any trends, any changes, or anything along those lines. We don't, just because we see prices going up doesn't mean we're going to call out bubble or something like that. We have to look at all of the moving parts of the macro and microeconomic activity that's going on for us to make any kind of prediction as to where we are right now and where we're headed. And we have reports that dot all over Southern California. We're looking to expand to other areas within a plane ride away. I've had people want me to go out to Texas, but not ready to get out there yet. And the most recent report that came out, and this was along the coast, this is San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, got this unhealthy pace. And this just goes into, yes, this is an unhealthy pace that we're going at, where we have everything's flying off the market. It's an auction-like atmosphere, but that does not make it a bubble. That does not make it a potential crash coming up. Instead, we just have values that are eroding affordability, yet there is still legs in this because you have to really drill down price. So I talk about that in the latest report. San Bernardino Riverside's getting theirs this coming up week. We just crunched the numbers last night, so we have the latest numbers and update from last week's episode. Reportsonhousing.com. That is our website. Go there to subscribe, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code SURGE, because that's what we're talking about, this continuous surge in SoCal and across the United States. But I have all the data that drills down into Southern California like nobody else out there. And so let's get into it. The SoCal surge continues. And of course, there's plenty of video blogs that are out there trying to tell the opposite of what I am kind of talking about. They're talking about crashes, and that's what everybody that has missed the boat so far has had a really hard time. That's what they're kind of rooting for, because they'd like prices to come down so that it could be more affordable for them. However, that is not the way that it works. You got to look at the fundamentals of economics to understand when it's a good time for your family to make that move or to jump into real estate. And you have plenty of people that really, I got to bring him back. I just absolutely loved him last week. He's my new figure for video blogs where, yes, they know what's going on, but they're not housing analysts. That's the thing. They talk about housing will crash, and oops, here's this guy. So anyways, this came out this last week, and this was the current inventory, and it looks like it's surged. It looks like it's gone way up. Inventory soared up 7.5% in a month. And this is the National Association of Realtors that's beating this. And so if you look at the number of units, went up quite a bit in the last, from June to July, but that's not really talking about where we are today, August. So it takes them a while for these numbers to get to the to the press and for everybody to understand really where we're at today. So this is kind of like there's a lag in what's going on, and I'm going to drill down to Southern California and show you that it's even greater than 7.5% in the last month. However, what's happened recently from July to August is what I'm talking about and what a lot of people will be seeing in the numbers across the United States as well soon. So that is just a snapshot that goes back to 1 year ago today to present day. And you can see it looks like, oh yeah, we're really adding the inventory. And I showed you this last week. This is where the inventory is on the right-hand side, that same little curve. You can see how it is still very, very low compared to where we're at in history. And these go back each year. You have to understand each of these years that where it goes up and down, that is a year. And that's how the seasonality of real estate works. And it's generally over the last several years has been going down prior to us even getting to the start of 2019. Start of 2019, it was already going down slowly but surely. These Himalayas were getting less and less. And so there was an erosion in the inventory over time. And if you look at it where I have all these, this was from last week, but this was the start to each year. And that January, that red was January of 2020. That was very disconcerting because we started off with very few homes in the market. But then we got to this year and we really started with a record low number of homes on the market. So you can see the imbalance. So it started last year. There was already an imbalance prior to even the pandemic even beginning. And then these are where we hit the different peaks, usually around August or September. So August, September, April of last year. That's because last year was a COVID year, did something entirely different. And where are we going to be this year? I think it's either August or September. And I can already see it right now. It's August for Southern California. I don't know what it's going to be across the United States, but it's either going to be this month or next month based upon what we're doing in SoCal. SoCal is a big chunk of the housing market for the United States. I mean, it's not all of it, but it's a big piece of it, and it's a trendsetter. So it's something to absolutely watch to see what's going to happen with the rest of the United States. And if you see this, after we hit that peak, this is what happens. Boom, it goes down, and it goes down at a pretty big velocity after we get past September. For October, November, December, you really see the inventory falling. And this is from year to year. You can see it in 2016, 17, 18, 19. And then in 20, we actually dropped from April till we got to the summer. And then there was the big drop that normally happens from at the end of the year. And it mirrors what's happened in prior years as well. So where are we going to go from here? Probably down after we peak. So it's going to come up. It's going to do one of these things. And then you're going to see it fall. And we're going to fall to a level that is less than where we started this year. That is what I'm seeing right now. I haven't formally put together my forecast, but based upon everything that I'm looking at right now, we're going to see inventory start 2022 at lower than where we started 2021. And I've had agents go, come on, give me some positive news, because this market's really hard. Everybody thinks that real estate agents are totally rooting for this type of thing, but they're not. We're rooting for more of a balance. And I'm not even not even in the real estate field. I've called when we've had various downturns in the past. I will continue to call them when I see them. Beforehand, I saw it in the numbers back in 2005, the fall of 2005, we could start to see the inventory rise. So we knew it was coming in 2005 and 2006, inventory rise kept on rising. So there was an imbalance. We had a supply glut prior to the Great Recession. You can actually see it in the numbers. So if I saw it in the numbers, we would be talking about it, but that's not what we're seeing. Instead, we're seeing the opposite. And if you see this Southern California active listing inventory, this mirrors what we were seeing in the rest of the United States. You see these different Himalayas that go up and down, up and down, up and down, until we got to this year. And you can see we're starting to go up, but you can see it is starting to level out. Did you want to bring Luna over here real quick? This is Mason. He's brought our dog Luna. Awesome. Did you just get done walking him?
Yeah.
That's why he's so sweaty. It's 1,000,000 degrees outside. It is as hot outside as it is in the marketplace. Right on. He has a big soccer tournament. Girls had their soccer tournament. They both won their tournaments, by the way, last weekend in Irvine. And now Mason has the same soccer tournament, but for boys this weekend. Can't wait. We'll be on the field tomorrow. More soccer. And then next weekend we have another soccer tournament in San Diego. And Athena has one in Irvine. Wow. So there we go. So anyways, you can see that this is what we did last week. And this is kind of what we talked about, but I want you to know that from June to July, the increase in inventory in SoCal was 10%. So it's actually at a higher rate than what it was for the rest of the country. So people were looking at that going, oh my gosh, yeah, it's the end of the world. It's definitely, we're slowing down. Now it's very, very, it had to do more with seasonality of that we see that in the summer. We see that increase in the inventory during the summer months. That's exactly what we got. And then from July to August, the increase in inventory has only been 2%. And I could show you what's going on right now on the next slide, but you can see from 10% to 2%. So everybody's reporting on that, on what's happened from June, July, and everybody thinks that it's going to be the market's really slowing down. I want there to be more inventory. Don't get me wrong, but I want you to understand really what's going on out there, and I want you to understand that we're going to be dealing with an inventory issue from here to the rest of the throughout the rest of the year. So here we are, the active listing inventory during that 2 week, August 19th. So that it went up 1% or up 185 homes in a 2 week period. So hit 20,643. That's not a whole heck of a lot. So that's where you kind of see where it's leveling off right there, that red line. And last year we were at 25,473. That's 23% higher than where we are today. Not a whole heck of a lot higher, but still higher than where we are today. And last year at this time, it was the lowest ever since I began looking at the numbers. And this year it's even lower. So you can understand we are at an all-time low for this time of the year. 3-year average is 41,318, which is exactly double where we are today. So there you go. You can see from where we are today to where we should be is double. So there's just not enough homes on the market. Today, we're at 20,621. So if we were last week at 20,643 and this week we're at 20,621, there's no change. Potentially, we just reached our peak on August 19th. You know what, give or take, it could go into September, but you can see what's happening right now is we're not adding a lot to the inventory. The inventory is kind of flattening out. So even if it went up or down a little bit, it's kind of flattening out before it starts to go down as we get further into the fall market. And that's exactly what's going on. We have this seasonality of the market. We have this transition from spring to summer, now from summer to autumn, and we're in the autumn market, that seasonality. And that's where the inventory slowly drops as well as demand slowly drops, but it kind of goes at the same rate. So, and you know that it's the autumn's here. Kids are back in school across the board. All kids are back in school, A. And B, I don't know if you knew this, but I think it was as of Tuesday? I believe it was when we started. Starbucks brought back their pumpkin spice latte. My wife tried that new apple crisp macchiato, said it was absolutely fantastic. I took a sip. Oh my gosh, it is like having an apple pie in a mug. So pretty darn cool. But what does that tell you? That they're bringing autumn as further and further forward, but they're just bringing it actually in line with the housing market. Once the kids go back to school, it's kind of has that autumn flavor, even though it's so hot outside. And that is where we're starting to get a change. You can see it a little bit in the trees. You could definitely see it in the housing market. And if you look at the inventory, this is where we hit that peak. That is about what we're doing. We're going to hit that peak either in the report that we just did or the report that is coming up. We're going to hit that peak. And then after that, it's slowly going to go down. And then we're going to hit Thanksgiving, the second week in November, and that's when it falls. And it falls like crazy, just like it does throughout the whole entire country. You saw those big red arrows. That is exactly what's going to happen here in SoCal. It's going to look a lot like the rest of the United States. And which means that we'll have that start to 22, which is going to be the lowest start to a year, even beat this year, which is not great. This is not good news, but that's exactly what is going on. And yes, it will be an absolute continual, crazy, nutty market, and it will happen from day one. So if you're a buyer looking for it to slow down later on this year, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a hot seller, crazy market for the rest of the year. And why? Because even though there are fewer buyers, there are fewer sellers. And I've talked to agents out there, and what they're saying is that they're just not seeing enough new home product or homes come on the market, just not enough out there. And so once again, it has to do with that supply and demand issue. So with maybe the demand is coming down a little bit, but so is the supply. So as a result, it still feels the same, still feels totally lined up in favor of the sellers and is crazy. So if you look at the number of for sale signs right now compared to the 3-year average from 2017 to 2019, totally throwing away 2020 because it was a COVID year. For all of 2020, just a recap, we were down 9%, so missing just about 25,000 homes in all of SoCal for 2020. And then so far, January to July, down 8%, missing a little over 14,000 homes for the first 7 months. Now, I did this as of today because right now, by the time we get to the end of August, I can start doing this and it looks a lot more uniform. So August 1st to August 15th, we're missing 13% compared to that 3-year average, missing 1,639 homes. So that doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot aggregate across Southern California, but that's for the first 2 weeks. But if you look at that, that's 3,200 in a month. Every single home counts. And it just puts us further and further behind the 8 ball as far as this inventory crisis is concerned. And once again, this is not what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for higher rates to slow this thing down a little bit so there are fewer buyers in the marketplace, and then we can watch the inventory rise. But that just simply is not going to happen because part of the problem are the homeowners not placing their homes in the market because they know they can get a lot for their home. However, they know how hard it is to purchase a home. Where will I go? That is exactly what they're wondering. And instead, they're sitting back and watching and enjoying the fact that their home values are continuing to soar higher and higher. And so let's take a look at SoCal demand. And this is as of yesterday. You can see interest rates have kind of like flattened out. They were 2.87 and 2.86 and now 2.87% again. This is as of yesterday. So it's kind of flattened out. There hasn't been a lot of change in mortgage land. So it's kind of what you see is what you get there. And of course, the big news is Fed tapering. And that was the big giant announcement. They're going to be doing it this year. And but at the end of the day, I told you, this is already baked into the 10-year treasury and long-term investments. So that has a lot to do with 30-year mortgages. That's why 30-year mortgages haven't changed, even though there's been all this taper talk. And what they're also talking about is Fed fund rate. They're not going to change that anytime soon. So with that, I'm showing you that red line and blue line. That red line is the effective federal funds rate. And you could see that during the Great Recession around 2009, it was brought down to pretty much zero. And it was pretty much flatlined to zero until we got to right before the start of 2016. And then once we went into this pandemic, you could see that on the right-hand side, that little gray bar, that's the recession. That's how tiny it was compared to the big bar. That was the Great Recession. But they've left it at 0 for quite some time. So that's the Fed fund rate. That's when they bring up the short-term rate, not long-term interest rates, because what I've put on top of this, or the blue, is where long-term interest rates are concerned. And I could tell you that right here at the end of 2014, almost started 2015, that's when they announced tapering and that they were going to be tapering. And so they announced tapering, and it was kind of did this like, it didn't give the market enough time to digest it. So what we ended up with is interest rates went up a little bit right after that, but then they fell back down. You can see interest rates rose a little bit. They went from about 3 3/4 to a little over 4%, but then they came back down after that, and they continued to go down even after, you could see on the right-hand side of 2016, right before that, they started to raise the Fed fund rate. That's the short-term rate. That only controls like auto loans and credit card debt, those type of things. And it doesn't really, because 30-year mortgages more have to do with Wall Street and long-term investments. And as a result, you can get the Fed fund rate that goes up and interest rates go down at the same time. So with this tapering, now that it's more baked into the equation, you're not really seeing much of a change, even though they're making these announcements of the tapering. So it's already baked into that, and everybody's already learned from what happened last time when they talked about tapering of what it did long term. So it's already baked in. It's not really making any kind of a change in the 10-year. And they just came out of the Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's where they all met, and that's where they announced tapering as of today. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was just a big yawn, and the 10-year Treasury didn't do much. In anticipation of the Fed meeting, you could see in the middle of the week, this is the 10-year Treasury, went up. This is just this last week. Went up a little bit, and then it's come down. So it's come down because it's a big yawn. Everybody knew it was coming, and it's not that big of a deal now that they've finally made the announcements that they're going to be tapering sometime this year. And this is where it is this is literally an hour ago. So like I said, baked into the equation. So demand is fueled by these extremely low interest rates. And what I just showed you is the 10-year remains kind of like flat, and that these low interest rates are here to stay for probably the rest of the year. So as a result, the demand has really been solid and hasn't really changed much. We're elevated compared to where we typically are at this time of the year, unless you compare it to last year, which you can't because that was a COVID year. So you look at it where we are as of last week, August 19th, 18,717 actually went up 1%, or 251 pending sales. And last year, at this time, we were at 21,508, 15% higher, 2,700, almost 2,800 extra pending sales. But that was that late spring because of COVID-19. So that's why we can't really compare right now to last year. The 3-year average, which is what we can compare it to, 2017, 2019, same time period right now. If you look at the middle of August to the middle of August of the 2017 and 2019, it's 12% less than where we are today at 16,757. And today, so we crunched the numbers, 18,668. So if you look at that, 668 to 717, it's almost no change. It's down 0.3%. That's what it's at. Down 0.3%, not that big of a deal. So didn't want to put that in there because down 0.3%, really, it's negligible. It's almost the same thing. So, and at the end of the day, when you have this almost no change, and it seems like the same thing on the listing side, that sometimes economics is boring. And that's what we're looking at. Economics is boring. So I'm looking at different things, and economics is boring because we're reading the tea leaves, constantly looking at it. And you just got to look at these little changes from here to there. So it's an auction-like atmosphere. This is not going to go away. Things are selling over asking. I showed you the slide back, and this was for June. Don't have the updated slide yet from California Association of Realtors, but I know that July is the same number as June, and it's still up 70%. It's 70% of all closed sales in the month of July were sold above their asking price. And it's been like that for at the 70% or higher in May, June, and now July. 70% of all closed sales, every price range, in all of California sold for above their asking price. So you just know how hot of a market it is. And I know that it continues out there. I've talked to enough agents out there where that is the story on the street. Everybody is starting to talk about a slowdown. It wasn't. It was called summer. It was a slight shift in the marketplace, big seasonality going from spring to summer. That's the second busiest time. Now we're going to go from spring to autumn, yet the market time is going to remain the same. So just understand that. So this is where we typically peak. We peaked in right at the end of May for Southern California. And where are we going from here? It's going to slowly but surely go down. That's what we do during the autumn. Then we get to the holiday market and boom, it goes down further. Just like the inventory, boom, goes down further. And they go at that kind of the same rate. So that's why we get the market time does not change with demand dropping, but so does the inventory, the number of available homes. So even if you enter in the month of December, you're still going to find very few homes and plenty of multiple offers for the few buyers that do remain actively searching for the few homes that are available towards the end of the year. And so how fast is this market moving? Last Thursday, 33 days. And there was no change in a 2-week period. Last year at this time, 36 days. And that's where it was kind of like hitting a bottom last year at this time. You could see it on the green line. So very similar today, but a little bit slower than where we are actually at today. And if you remember last year, people were going, oh my gosh, this market is crazy. It got crazier this year. And so last year, 36 days. So the 3-year average is 76 days, way higher than where we are today. And if you look at actual today, we're at 33 days still. So there you go. It's exactly where it was at last week and where it was at 3 weeks ago. So like I said, sometimes economics is boring, but you could see what we're going to get is kind of like last year where it just flatlined. The market time felt the same. So what that means is that if you place your home on the market now, or if you place your home on the market a month from now or 2 months from now, it's going to be the same feel. You're going to still have a lot of buyers that are there because there are just fewer homes coming on the market for the little bit of less demand that's out there. So where are we going to go from here? Like I said, flat line. There's really no change. And that's what we got to put our grasp, that there's no change. The surge continues in SoCal. And so at the end of the day, you got to follow an economic model. I'm a housing analyst. That's what I do. I was telling somebody, why are you guys relying on people like this? You're turning to YouTube to listen to people that don't have the credentials. It's like, I had heart surgery back in 2009. I wasn't going to go interview my neighbor at the barbecue or listen to some guy that has no surgical background talk about heart surgery on a video blog. I'm going to go right to the heart surgeon expert video to find out exactly what's going on. And I think that that's going to be more compelling than just listening to some Joe Schmo talk about it that does not have the credentials. And that's really what it's about. It's following somebody that has an economic model. Stop listening to people out there. It's a lot of noise out there, but that doesn't mean that what they're talking about is going to happen unless they have a real solid economic model that they're following. So if you want a copy of this housing debrief, you have to be a subscriber, A. If you're not a subscriber, go become a subscriber. In the comment section, go ahead and add a comment that you'd like a copy of it. Please do. And just ask for a copy. But if you're not a subscriber to it, you can be a subscriber. All you have to do is go to reportsonhousing.com, click on subscribe, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. And you get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code SURGE, because that is what we're going to continue to do. This surge is not going to stop for the rest of the year, and which means housing values will continue to go up. And that's just because of the imbalance in the number of homes that are available and demand right now. Today, people go, how can it continue to go up? When I start to see the expected market time, the market time rise with inventory rising and demand falling, do we start to see that how quickly values go up starts to diminish? But that's not what we're seeing right now. Okay, let's see. So I'll pick a couple of these comments since it's early enough. Andre asked, with rising home values, our salaries of general population is rising. Yes, so we actually are seeing that values are that we're seeing wages rise. We're also seeing values outstrip where wages are. But you have to understand, one of the real issues is the interest rates coming down to such a low level that it made home affordability it made it so that everybody can afford a home, or a lot more people could afford a home. So it just increased the pool of potential buyers that were out there. Demand rose. And yes, as values go up, that's eating into affordability. Yet, as you see, we still have a lot of demand out there, even given these higher prices, and even given the fact that I hear in all different price ranges that people are offering more than the asking price. Maybe not quite as much as what they were before, but still, we're still seeing home values rising, and that will continue to happen as long as this mismatch continues. Okay, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, you're missing out if you're not a subscriber. Highly recommend. Yes, I appreciate that, Cindy. That's for sure. I got a long one from Josh. Let's see if I can show it. See if the whole thing goes up. It does. If interest rates remain sticky and don't fluctuate much of the rest of the year, would it be logical to anticipate supply dropping quicker than normal this fall because demand will remain relatively high while supply just can't keep up? Well, demand is coming down, though. You have to understand that there will be, it's not the most advantageous time for families to make a move now that our kids are really in school. This is not a virtual school. They're actually in school. It makes the pool of buyers even dwindle a little bit more compared to where we were last year when everybody went virtual. This is more like a normal seasonality to the market. So that has something to do with it. Also, the inventory being at such a low level, it's hard to deplete the inventory down much more lower than where we are today. We're at 2,500 homes. Let's say in Orange County. I know that, and we were at 3,100 back in 2013. So 2,500 just seems like a real low. How much lower can you get for a whole entire county? San Diego County, gigantic county, hovering right at 3,000 homes. I mean, come on, that's not that many homes for that gigantic county. So how much further lower can they go? Will they go lower? Yes. Though typically it will be the slow, methodical grind down until we get to Thanksgiving. And that's where there are people out there that are having a harder time selling their homes for whatever reason. They have some sort of an issue, most likely, when I peel back the onion on the homes that remain or are having a little bit more of an issue and have to reduce their prices. Those are the people that when they come to the holidays, say, forget it, we'll wait until the next spring market. So they pull their homes off the market. It happens every year. It's going to happen this year like it does every single year. It's part of the seasonality effect. And that's what I refer to as the holiday market. It's from the week before Thanksgiving all the way through the first couple weeks of January. So let's see. Any other questions that are out there? Robert, do we have inflation and how will it affect real estate? Yeah, you know what? That's the wild card, is how much of the inflation that will be sticky long term. And there's a big argument. A lot of people think the Fed doesn't have it right, that it's going to be higher. But then there's other people that are. And if you read the entire Fed minutes, it's a lot of incredibly smart economists that are in the room. It's like as if they're not ignoring inflation, but they talk quite a bit about it. And they talk a little bit about comparing it to other times when we had increasing inflation, like let's say the 70s. It's not the 70s. You have to understand that. So we're not going to get this out of control inflation so that we get these interest rates that spike, and which would absolutely destroy the housing market if we had spiking interest rates like anything that people are talking about. But we're just not going to have that. That's not what's happening in the marketplace. It's not what's happening in inflation. Some of it will be sticky, will be stickier, a little bit higher. So that what you'll see is the Fed fund rate gradually go up after they announce tapering. And then when they do that, even when they did the Fed fund rate change last time, we still saw interest rates go down further. So it's going to be very hard to move interest rates a lot higher. So that's something that we will watch closely and report on, but I'm not really that concerned about runaway inflation or anything along those lines. Let's see. Any other questions that are out there? I'm seeing. Yeah. with prices continuing to rise, when do you think capital gains for long-term homeowners becoming a big factor? Yeah, actually, Rob, I've done an analysis of people that have sold, and it seems to be that they're willing to pay that 15% above. You have to understand, remember, you get an exclusion of $500,000 as a couple, but some of these people that have owned their home for a long time might have $1 million, $1.5 million in gains because they bought their house for $700,000 and now are selling it for $2 million now. And there's such a giant gain that they're going to have to pay that 15% capital gains. And a lot of them are just doing just that. So it's just part of the equation on whether or not we should sell. That could keep people in homes theoretically. And if that becomes the case, that's just part of the argument of there are fewer homeowners that are coming on the market. But you have to understand what I'm kind of like seeing in the marketplace right now is the inventory, the number. There was a shift from the Great Recession to coming out of the Great Recession. Prior to the Great Recession, we had one way of looking at housing. Afterwards, people stayed in their homes longer. All of a sudden, there's this shift from selling more often to staying in your home. And what I'm seeing coming out of COVID, yes, you're seeing more demand, but what we're also seeing is homeowners not placing their homes in the market like they used to. So that means that the shift might be down the road that we sell even fewer homes, that fewer homes come on the market, because that's what we're seeing. Fewer homes come on the market. It's just that we're depleting all the inventories. Everybody that comes on is going right into escrow. So as interest rates rise, or as we get values to a certain point, that's going to back off. And then we're going to see the trend of fewer escrows and fewer closed sales. So that's down the road. Nancy Bao said that Arizona is one of the places I'm looking at, Nancy, for expanding this thing. So let's see if there doesn't look like there's any more questions out there. If you have any more questions, put them in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer them. I wanted to wish everybody a wonderful weekend. Enjoy it. I'll be on the soccer field under a big umbrella, cheering on this guy, Mason Edward.
Hi.
So thank you. I appreciate it. It gives us something to do over the weekend, and then afterwards we'll jump in the pool. So I appreciate it. We'll see you on the other side. Elaine's asking, how about Northern California? I'm actually looking at going into the Bay Area. These markets have to be big enough for me to go into. So that's what I'm actually looking at. So that's all part of us looking at expanding it. But I appreciate the suggestions. Put them in the comment section. We'll see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend and enjoy yourself. Have a good one. We will talk to you soon.